A new engine supplier at Aston Martin, big rumors for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, and the Monaco Grand Prix is right around the corner. This is Into the Chicane, a Formula One podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Channing Apodaca, joined on FaceTime with my man Brandon Wood. How you doing?
Yo.
How's everything?
How you feeling? Doing good. Just spending some time with the fam.
Yeah.
Getting excited for this your favorite race of the year coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it is something to be excited about just because we had to miss out on Imola. I am actually a little bit more excited for Monaco because of the fact that we didn't get the Imola race.
Yeah, we've had to wait a couple, or I guess it's only one extra week, but just the extra time makes it, feel a little bit more special.
Yeah, I was also listening to some other Formula One news, and it got me, I was just listening to drivers kind of break down their thoughts about the Monaco track, and it kind of loosened my grip of disdain towards this track just for how much drivers love the challenge of it, even though I still maintain everything I've said about it, that the way Formula One is heading, an entertainment-based, racing series, that it's not going to, I don't think it's going to last. But it was nice and refreshing to hear drivers kind of talk about how much they love it. I was listening to a former F2 driver talk about how much, you can't ask, you ask any driver who's ever raced that circuit in any series, and they'll tell you that it's one of their favorites because it's just so challenging for them, which is kind of what you got to get yourself hyped up for, I guess. Yeah,
it's tough because you have to balance the fact that the cars are outgrowing the circuit.
Yeah.
They're getting bigger, it's becoming less nimble, so it makes racing kind of tough around there, but at the same time it's such a legendary track, and there's so much prestige that goes into just winning that race. So
yeah, and somebody pointed out too, and something that I had never thought of, that it's the only original track from the original F1 year 1950. It's the only one that has stood the test of time. I don't think even Silverstone goes back that far. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's the only original untouched track, or at least one that hasn't had any major modifications, because it's because of the fact that it's a street circuit, they really can't do much about it.
Yeah.
So other than that, which we'll talk about the race coming up this weekend, what else do we have on the docket? What's going on in Formula One?
So last week we touched on this a little bit. We said it was pretty much confirmed, but as of today, there was an official announcement that Honda and Aston Martin will be partnering for beginning in 2026. Honda providing will be providing the motors for the Aston Martin team. So this will be pretty cool. It'll be full on work steel. So it'll be a more of an exclusive relationship between the teams. So
great. So Honda's not going to doesn't have any plans to supply any other team, or they're not looking to?
No.
Good.
So it'll be a more of an exclusive deal with Aston Martin. So, their current situation with Mercedes, as a customer team, there's certain restrictions that they have. They're kind of just working with whatever they are able to buy from Mercedes engine program.
Right.
But here they'll actually be able to have some input, get some custom pieces made or custom development directions. So it'll be kind of cool to see how this partnership, develops. So it was, with this, there was a couple of things that came up. It was noted in 2020, I guess, when Alonso was doing a Indy 500 run, that Honda didn't want Alonso in there using one of their motors because of comments he had made in previous seasons, saying that the Honda motor was akin to a GP2 motor.
Yeah, I remember that GP2. That was
so
classic quote. So this is because what do they run in IndyCar? Is it Chevy and Honda? Or Ford and I think it's Chevy.
Yeah, Chevy.
That's the two engine supply. I think. I know one of them is Honda.
Yeah.
So they were butthurt about him saying that about their F1 power unit.
Yeah, so they didn't really want him to be,
But this was years later. That was the McLaren Honda of like 2000 shit.
Yeah, so at this point they addressed this and they said, they're not really going to care about that anymore. It's, they're just
Also,
going to look forward.
you can't deny how bad that car was back then. It's like that was a historically bad partnership between those two.
Yeah, but as a manufacturer, the last thing you want is your star driver using your products to be bad mouthing them or to say anything bad at all, But
you're pushing 20 years though. Honda needs the fact that they even addressed that is kind of silly to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they got questions about it,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they probably got. That's probably what it was. Some dumbass reporter probably just trying to stir the pot. But
yeah,
I think great deal for Aston Martin.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a better partnership to happen out there. And if you look at what Honda did, sparking Red Bull's dominance, and Aston Martin is on the verge of potentially joining that rank with them as like a long-time top of the field team. Who knows what Honda can really do for them.
Yeah, and like we were saying last week with their new facilities being in full, full force and everything, like it's going to be cool, like to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Also with this, Honda was explicitly stating that they're keen on having Yuki Tsunoda potentially being one of their drivers in 2026.
Wow.
So,
blatantly targeting somebody. See, now here's the thing with that. Go ahead. Say your thought.
No, go ahead.
Well, Lance Stroll is shoehorned into that seat, right? He's not going anywhere unless he decides to retire or is so bad that he forces the team to have to let him go. But I would say he's pretty safe in that seat. So then they're banking on, one, Alonso wanting to retire, and he probably should in the next 3 years. And two, Yuki Tsunoda developing into the caliber of a driver that can be potentially a number one. Because Lance Stroll, I'm sorry, as much as I do like Lance Stroll and as deserving of a seat as I think he is, he's no number one.
Not at the moment, for sure. But like Alonso was saying earlier this season, he has the potential to become a world champion driver. So, maybe
I don't know about that.
Maybe we're in store for a
Stroll
new
tide
Lance that will come. Yeah, a little Stroll tide. It sounds interesting. I don't know about if Yuki's one of their drivers, it's like whose seat is he taking? I feel like at this point he's not going to be taking the number one seat.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does Lance Stroll have what it takes to be a number one driver? I don't think so, and I also don't think that on a top three team, Yuki Tsunoda, at least right now, is a top three driver. He's got a lot of growing up to do. He's also got a lot of skill to hone. You can see that there's something there with Yuki, but he hasn't fully grasped it yet. So I think that's a premature assumption from Honda to try and want to put, the one Japanese driver in F1 in that seat right now. It's also not their choice.
No. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They're also looking at just how he's developed in these past 2.5 seasons or whatever it is, right?
He's done fine.
They're seeing him improve consistently, and I assume want to have a Japanese driver on their team.
I think that's just them playing to a fan base. I think.
Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, if Yuki's can back it up with results, then I think it would be cool.
Oh, it'd be great if he could do it, but is it the right choice? I don't think so. At least not right now. But they have 3 years to make it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you had mentioned something about Franz Tost and the AlphaTauri team.
Yeah. So there had been talks. I know. I don't know, what was that? Maybe a month ago, where we were hearing that AlphaTauri was considering maybe selling, or Red Bull selling the AlphaTauri team.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't quite, they weren't quite seeing it as worth it to them as so much as, what it cost. But Helmut Marko has made statements today saying that they've completely ruled that out. They've decided to make some changes, restructuring a little bit. They're going to be hiring some more personnel at their facility in UK, but they're still going to be based out of the Imola region where they are now. So not, looking to
sounds
just
like
continue that.
They're trying to retie things back to Red Bull a little bit more. It almost sounds like.
Yeah, they want to continue to be their like junior program, for having some of like their,
Yeah.
as a stepping stone for some of their F2 and F3 talent to come into F1, and I think it's still a good thing for them to be having this kind of a team, especially.
I've never minded Red Bull having the second team. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting aspect to F1. I also wouldn't mind if they sold it off to a completely independent team and we just got a new team. But I also don't buy. I'm not fully sold, even though Franz Tost has said it. Now Helmut Marko is saying that they're not selling. I'm not sold on the idea that they're keeping them long term.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like there was some talk of like, oh, maybe Honda buys the team, and then Honda has its own straight. But now that Honda has done this Aston Martin deal, that's a works deal with the exclusivity, it kind of rules that out, right?
Yeah. My thought originally was that Honda would take over and have the Honda factory team again. Still, I don't fully buy it because, they continue to have 3 bad years there. They're either going to completely retie AlphaTauri and Red Bull back together and, share design concepts and probably move drivers around a little bit more again the way that they used to, or get rid of the team. Who knows? Maybe sell it to Aston Martin and then they'll have their Japanese driver already lined up and ready to go.
Yeah, just combine the 2 teams into one and have a little super team.
Aston Martin could potentially have a junior team or a second team. We'll not call it a junior team. I think that would be. I was kind of fucking around a couple episodes ago talking about Ferrari taking over and having their a sister team. I think it'd be dope if another team did it. Let everybody have a shot. Even Haas. Let Haas have a go at having 2 teams.
Yeah, Ferrari would be a great candidate just with they already have like their driver's program and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I think they need to get their priorities straight, right? They need to get their like main team in order before they can start spending resources on other junior teams.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're going to be losing their basic sister team, Alfa Romeo, because I think as soon as Audi comes in, it's still going to be Sauber Audi. I'm sure there's going to be ties, but I would imagine that with a new engine supplier, Ferrari is going to lose their connection to the Alfa Romeo system as a development system for them. Anywho, I don't. I don't buy it, Marco.
Yeah. So speaking of Ferrari, we saw a lot of rumors popping up this week. So we have rumors of Ferrari offering Hamilton $40 million.
Mm-hmm.
Come race for them.
This is one of the biggest rumors I think we've heard all year. Not only because of the people involved and the magnitude involved, but the fact that it's kind of gained so much traction. As soon as it happened, there were a lot of people online, real accounts having to address it. And the second real accounts and real reporters have to address it is the second it becomes a valid rumor. So I find this one to be really, really interesting. So what was it? The rumor is that Ferrari's offered Lewis $40 million to drive for them next season, right?
Something like that.
Was it next season?
I don't know exactly. I guess it would have to be 2026 because Charles and Carlos both have 2 more years on their deal. So
I think they would just end up relegating or buying out at that point.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Go ahead.
No, I just kind of, I just think it's weird, right? Like that both Lewis and Charles are renegotiating right now, right? For extensions.
But see, here's where you and I kind of talked about this a little bit before. I don't know if I see it as just a negotiating a negotiating tactic, especially from Ferrari's side. Because let's say they really did, and also we have no idea if this is even a credible rumor or not, or if it's just bullshit and, you know, it got tweeted out and picked up by some fucking media source out in the UK or something. But if Ferrari is offering Lewis $40 million, yeah, I can see how they put Mercedes in a bind by forcing their hand in to pay Lewis at least that amount of money. But what good does that do for Charles Leclerc? Because if the rumor's true and they really are offering Lewis that, you think Leclerc's not going to look at them and go, well, I want that amount. I'm just as good, if not better, than Lewis right now. Or close to it. And I'm not saying that's the truth, but I'm saying that Leclerc's going to make that argument. Do they want to? Because I think Leclerc's contract is something like in the realm of like $18 million or some shit. Yeah, why would they want to double that?
I mean, here's the thing: is like Charles could be asking for more than that. Charles could be asking for like 50 or something. You know, so
that's insane. That's insane. He hasn't won a single championship. He's only won a handful of races in the last few years. No arbitrator, if it were to go to that, would give him more than what Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are currently making. That's the bar. It's $44 million a year.
Yeah, that's what Max is making, right? It's 44.
I think Lewis is making the same, unless he took a pay cut for this year. But I know in the past few years they were dead even.
From what I understand, Max is making more right now. But
okay,
let's see.
It could be. I don't know. But I don't understand like what good that does for Ferrari to make that offer.
If they're not like completely serious, you mean?
Right. Like what sort of negotiating tactic on their end? Like if they're just doing this tactically, what does that give them?
Maybe they're trying to get Charles to agree to the terms that they're currently going over, right? They're like, okay, well, if you don't want to do a deal, then we'll go and hire Lewis. You know? And if it's a little bit more money, they're probably willing to do it, you know? I don't know.
I think it's weird all around. And you have to think that, I don't think Leclerc is the one that they really want out. I think he's the poster boy for their team. He hasn't had a great season. There's no denying that. This has been the worst year of his entire career. But he's still their guy. He's a Ferrari Academy driver. He's been poised to take that seat over since he was a teenager. They've put too much into his development. If they want anybody out and they want to give that seat to Lewis, it's going to be Carlos.
Sure.
I don't know. It's a really weird rumor to me. What do you think? I mean,
yeah, I mean, for one, I don't really see Lewis leaving Mercedes anytime soon unless he like legitimately feels that he cannot win his 8th championship at Mercedes, right? And then from there, you're like, okay, well, you know, if you're him and you feel like you need to make a move in order to increase your chances, is Ferrari really going to be that team? I don't
know that Ferrari is. I get what you're saying. Like, I don't think that Lewis has a good chance of winning his 8th at Mercedes. But is Ferrari that team? Unless Ferrari has some sort of a package that they're putting together for next year, a plan in place for what they're going to do with their car, and they've sold it to Lewis, or they want to present it to Lewis, similar to what Aston Martin did to Fernando. We all looked at Fernando and we're like, why the hell would you leave Alpine for Aston Martin? And look at him now. He's laughing his way to the fucking podium every week after week. So unless they have some idea that they can pitch to Lewis that you do have a real shot at winning your 8th world championship in a Ferrari, none of this makes sense.
Cool. So we didn't get to see it, unfortunately, unveiled last weekend, but apparently McLaren's got a new livery coming in this weekend.
I love it.
The Triple Crown livery. I love it too. But
I love it. Let me bring it up on my phone so I can look at it with you.
I'm just so confused. It's like, why don't you guys just make this the main livery? Like,
I know.
I don't know. Like,
it looks so much better than the orange. And there's no team on the grid right now other than AlphaTauri I guess, rocking the white. But the white and the black looks so good. The white, the black, and the orange in the back. So it's the livery itself is a mix of what the old McLaren car from the 80s, Senna's old car. Then a Le Mans car, and then their Indy 500 car. Yeah, their Monaco 1984 livery is the one. The infamous Marlboro livery, which I think still to this day one of the most beautiful liveries of all time. But dude, every time McLaren does a special one-off, like their Golf, still one of my favorites. This is probably going to end up being one of my favorite liveries. I love it. It's got the black in the front for the Le Mans. It's got the white in the middle, like the angular sort of diamond-esque white that's like reminiscent of the old Marlboro pack of cigarettes, and then the Indy 500 orange in the back. I love what they did. It looks like the old Monaco 84 car, but with orange.
They should just keep it the rest of the year.
100%. It's got the, that angular, like, diamond-shaped Marlboro pack in the back, and it's funny because they have, they're using, a throwback to their old Marlboro livery, and then they have the vape pen thing on the side. I forget what brand that is.
Velo.
What is it, Velo?
It's like Velo.
They're the ones that had that, right? That said not for use with nicotine. Hilarious.
Yeah, but that was only for the U.S.
Just a one-off. Either way, man, McLaren can't keep their fingers off that smooth backy, that smooth nicotine that Lando Norris craves. That's what keeps him going in all his day-long Twitch streams.
He's a sig head.
I love it, though. I do wish that they would keep this.
Well, should we get into some predictions for Monaco?
Sure. Let's wrap this up.
Okay. I was kind of feeling like we got to probably going to keep the tradition of the red flag in qualifying. That's going to be my first prediction.
Ooh. A red flag.
It's going to be a little bit, it might be a little bit wet. We're going to see some new slicks unveiled this week.
Have you looked at the weather forecast?
I've just seen a couple of posts that people have made that the forecast looks like it's going to be wet.
Oh, man.
At least not a Mola style, but it'll be a little drizzly. I
wouldn't mind if this was a wet race, just so long as what happened in Monaco last year doesn't happen, because they ended up red flagging that for, I forget how many hours, but I woke up at like 5 a.m. to watch that and then sat waiting on the couch for hours for them to get it re-going again. So as long as that doesn't happen and it just causes a little bit of chaos, I'm happy with that. Is that your first one? Do you have a few more lined up? You want me to go?
Yeah. Go ahead.
My first bold prediction, I'm going to say that the pole sitter will be Charles Leclerc.
Okay.
I'm going to say Chuck on pole. Man. I also want to say Charles Leclerc wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
Wow. That's pretty bold.
I think that this is the year he breaks the curse. I think he's going to show up. He's going to nail his quali. And it's going to stay. They're going to have learned from their past and give him a clean race. And he's going to get his first win of the season.
Okay.
So Charles Leclerc pole. Charles Leclerc wins the race. That is my bold prediction.
Okay.
2 of them.
So my second one, I was 2, right? Okay. So my second one, I was going to say Charles doesn't finish.
Yikes. Okay, I mean, shit, who knows? I could see that too.
If
he's cursed
if you look
track.
at the stats, he really is. So I feel like it's going to be just more of the same.
Yeah, I'm just kind of fingers crossed that he finally gets it done. I'll go on record and say this. I don't actually think either one of those are going to happen, but those are my bold predictions. I'm just swinging for the fence. I don't think it's gonna happen. But those are predictions. You have your third one lined up?
Yeah, Carlos top 5. I feel like he's due. He's due for a resurgent. He's been driving well. If he just keeps his head down, I feel like he's capable of getting a good qualifying position, and that's all he really has to do is just get up there for the race, and then just kind of hold his position. I think it's possible.
Okay. I'm going to say for my third bold prediction that Checo will finish higher than Max.
Okay.
I'm thinking the podium, and this isn't a prediction, but my vision is Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen. And also, I don't think Leclerc is going to win. I'm all over the place, but that's my prediction.
Okay.
I got Charles Leclerc taking pole, and then I have Charles Leclerc winning the Monaco Grand Prix, and Perez finishing higher than Verstappen wherever they might find themselves. I'm looking at the forecast right now. It says there's a 70% chance of rain today and a 30% chance of rain on Sunday, which would add some much-needed excitement to the Monaco Grand Prix. But we'll find out this Sunday. This has been Into the Chicane, the pre-Monaco Grand Prix edition. We will see you guys after the race. Peace.